Oh man, what's up gamers, DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Death Stranding, because Sony's latest and greatest project is starting to get me pretty worried. Now here's the thing, I consider myself to be a very big Hideo Kojima fanboy. I've actually beaten every project he's ever touched, even things that are very obscure like Snatcher or Boktai, The Sun Is In Your Hands, and of course every Metal Gear Solid. But here's the thing, part of the reason that Hideo Kojima games are great is that, in my opinion, they're weird while being stylized. They're confusing and have like nanomachine-filled plots, but while you're playing it, you understand the purpose. After watching every single Death Stranding trailer, reading every interview, seeing everything I could on the game itself, I really just don't know what we're really going to get. And the more we actually hear about this, the more I'm actually a little bit worried that this could be a mess. Now this was actually inspired by some statements that came out today that Sony is actually circulating, which is that apparently you're going to have to play through about half this game before it even starts getting fun. Now imagine if this game is 20 hours or 30 hours. We could literally be playing for 10 hours or even like 15 hours before we get to the fun moment. Now, I want to read this statement because it's something they released today, and it's got a lot of people talking, and it's really something I want to dig into. So the statement released by Hideo Kojima today is a little bit confusing, but it also gives us perhaps the best window into his mind and what he's thinking about. Some people say it's almost like the movie Alien, where you're gradually finding out what the world is about, what you can do and not do. Maybe it gets really fun when you've completed 50% of the game. The player, like in shooters and other genres, go into the game with a known rule and you think about it, what the game is about. I didn't want to have that feeling. Everyone should start from ground zero, not knowing how to pick up and play the game. What I've shown makes you puzzled, but it really makes sense when you play the game. Now this is something that I feel like could actually be extrapolated in two different directions. This could be great. I mean, if you've ever actually watched the film Alien, it's a really good movie because it keeps you very on edge. It doesn't really give you the key vital information till the very end. You're not really sure how everybody is being torn apart or if this terrible killing machine can be stopped. That movie is very well paced and it managed to unpack its information in a smart style. If we actually have this style of pacing in Death Stranding, that could be awesome. Slowly getting more facts about why people are rapidly aging, more about America, more about Norman Reedus, and why this world is just so messed up. If they do this right, it could be a masterpiece, but I'm nervous that this is going to go the opposite direction. I'm very afraid that this is just going to be a big, artsy game with a lot of stuff that means nothing. Okay, so obviously one of the things they showed in trailers that a lot of people have joked about is the fact that you can pee, and there's actually a pee meter, where when you drink fluids, you'll actually build up pee throughout the game and occasionally have to take pee breaks. I can't believe I'm talking about urine on my YouTube channel of video games, but here's the thing. Information like that is not pertinent. If your game actually has a mechanic like that, I feel like that is a detractment from the main story. Now, I'm not asking you to make the most focused thing ever, but I'm saying a good game, even when it is doing its best to throw you outside your comfort zone, it keeps itself centered. Now, I'm going to make an analogy, and this is one that people may not like. I am a big fan of Silent Hill for the Room. Now, this game is actually extremely different from the rest of the franchise. In fact, technically, this is one of the few games that doesn't even take place in Silent Hill. You're playing as a guy who lives in a tiny apartment that's basically cursed and repeatedly transports him to the city of Silent Hill to fight ghosts and terrible monsters. This game is messed up, but more than just being messed up, it's actually kind of overwhelming. It just throws a lot of different mechanics, and it constantly just makes you wonder what the boundaries of the game are. Like, this is one of the first projects that ever gave me nightmares because when you go back to your apartment, the ghosts from Silent Hill can follow you back to it, and so you end up having to battle them with like holy candles. It's confusing in a way that works. But more than just being confusing, it's still centered. It's still focused. And Hideo Kojima is a guy who kind of likes to go off the rails whenever he can. If you've ever beaten any Metal Gear Solid game, I'm sure you've become the master of terms like nanomachines and restorative technology, and if you got the things like the special collector's edition of the Metal Gear Solid 2, you actually got a DVD disc that had Raiden skipping through time and doing all sorts of skits. That's the stuff that Hideo Kojima loves. Is this going to have that? It kind of seems like it. My nervousness arises not of a distrust of what it could be. I'm just at a point now where I wish that they would just sit down and show like 30 freaking minutes. No jump cuts, no craziness. Just show me a simple person of walking from A to B, entering the combat mode, showing me what the other worlds are, only because I'm starting to get afraid. I mean, just being really honest here, I want Death Stranding to be fantastic, and it obviously needs to be. This is considered to be perhaps the final massive hurrah of the PlayStation 4. And while that is cool, it does make me a little bit nervous when I think, what if the last game is a big fart? I mean, okay, so we all trust that this game will be decent, but what if it's not? What if this ends up just being so weird and so freaking filled with nonsense, people end up hating it? This is a possibility. I'm not actually saying that the game sucks. I'm just saying that at this point, there are going to be people who buy this game and don't know what the hell is going on. People who are going to buy this game and put 30 hours into it and just be like, I can't believe I turned my PlayStation 4 on today. I want this game to be a normal game. Not normal to the point at which it's boring, but I want it to have things like a health meter. I want it to have things like a game over screen. I want it to have a story. I want this game to be at least a little bit like Metal Gear Solid. No matter what, I'm going to play the game, and I'm going to beat it. I'm probably going to try and beat it twice, but if it's just so filled with weird gimmicks, I mean, we're just at a point now where nothing in the trailers has completely wowed me yet. I keep going back and forth because there's just so many actors, there's so many directors, there's so much in this that feels like flavor text. It feels like a meme stood up and became a game itself. What if it ends up just being mediocre? That to me would be a massive disappointment, and it might be the last Hideo Kojima game, because if this game doesn't sell insane numbers, Sony might put him in the back seat. We're just a couple months away now from actually having this in our hands, and I'm still just curious as to how people are going to receive it. I'm so very fascinated by the idea of what are Metal Gear Solid fans going to actually get invested in? Are they going to love this? Are the classics going to get involved? Or is this going to be one of those things that people play, talk about, and forget? I want this to be the new God of War. I want this to be a reinvention of ideas. I want this to be the masterpiece it deserves, and not just a wet fart. But I guess we're going to find out very, very soon. What do you think of it? Have you been watching a bunch of the Death Stranding trailers? I've been trying to read a bunch of the YouTube comments and tweets and stuff recently, and it seems like a lot of you guys are as concerned as I am. I've seen a lot of people saying, the game doesn't make sense, and I'm not paying $60 for it. So actually tell me some of your concerns in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.